And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
Hey everyone, Dave here, December 1773. This is episode 90 of The Weekly Show, all of the week's hottest topics with a twist. Be sure to catch us on YouTube, Facebook, more importantly, Rumble. Like the video if you're watching on Facebook and YouTube. If you're watching on Rumble, make sure you rumble the video. Brian, I don't even know how to start today's episode. I'm so distraught over a certain somebody's comments.
I said 3.
You said 3 after you said 76, 79. There might have been a 77 at one point.
No, there's no 7 because I don't like 7.
You don't like the 3 either.
The 1773, if anybody watching hasn't caught on yet, is December 1773 is the month and year of the Boston Tea Party. In case anyone didn't figure that out. Ryan, do you have anything for us before we...
No, other than Easter's been a beautiful day, and I have feasted my ass off.
Yes, and
mighty grateful today.
Much like Jesus, we have returned. Mondays at 7. Ryan, I tagged you in a video. I don't know if you had a chance to see it yet. It was about Tim Pool, and the reason I tagged you is because we always joke about you being swatted live on camera. Well, apparently Tim Pool has been swatted 8 times.
Has he?
In the past year. Mm-hmm. I'm assuming people who are like frequent watchers of a show know this.
So has he been like, there's a fucking squirrel right outside. Just
You got some serious ADD. You got the legitimate squirrel ADD going on right now.
I got squirreled by a squirrel. Like he'd been like physically attacked or like swatted as far as the internet has just like throttled his video.
No, like the police have literally gone into his studio.
Oh, swatted. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like for what though? The guy wears a beanie.
I think that's the only legitimate reason to swat Tim Pool. Take off the beanie, you're inside. The only reason I bring this up is because Tim Pool has actually canceled a Nashville show after, quote, a credible death threat against his life. Which is amazing because you always talk about him as and you're right, he's like this both ways kind of guy trying to be neutral, but people don't see it that way apparently.
Yeah, no, he's walking the other way on a one-way street, you know? Like, that's his political ideology. But he's Kyle Rittenhouse in the political ideology. But, yeah, have they ever caught him with anything? I assume not if he's still, like, just podcasting from a basement somewhere in Virginia or wherever he is.
Yeah, so what he made it sound like is that he thinks what his opinion is somebody is doing, like, false bomb threats and stuff to his studio, so people are showing up to address that issue. That's his opinion on what's happening. I don't know how factual any of that is, but that's what he said.
Man, it's weird how the FBI can organize for that, but when there's school shootings, that the person in suspect and in custody and all these people that have done shootings are a lot of times known by the FBI beforehand, and they don't do anything about it. But then they're going to SWAT team Tim Pool, guy with a microphone.
Yeah, but that's why, Ryan, they have to do something about all of these ghost guns, right? Isn't it amazing when that comes up in topics and how all these shootings have happened?
It's weird how those are linked.
Yeah, it's coincidence.
You would almost think that there's something deeper at work here, like they could influence people.
Yeah, it's like when you go to do an infrastructure speech and the bridge collapses.
I've yet to hear about that fucking bridge.
There's no updates.
I have
no
yet to
updates
hear
on that
about
bridge.
this bridge.
It crumbled.
Just saw Pennsylvania has like Pittsburgh has like the most bridges in America in a city. One just fell apart.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if anybody's going to have it, it's going to be the place with more of them. Apparently, also in Pennsylvania, somebody lost like a nuclear like component or something. Did you see that? It's not ideal.
They can't count paper ballots and they can't keep track of radiation devices.
Yeah, that's quality control.
I think it just measures the the article I kind of read a little bit of it. It just like measures if there's any radioactivity around on like sites when they're doing like excavations and stuff.
Yeah.
Pretty sure. So it's not like a nuclear device. Like the headline read something crazy like that. Like a portable nuclear device is missing from
Gauge or
Pennsylvania
something.
State. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
missing from State House or something.
They
You
said
click
it
on
still, in theory, could be dangerous though, which I don't know how. Like I don't think it absorbs nuclear radiation to detect it, right? Like that doesn't make sense to me how a device to detect it would radiate it.
I think we assume anything that says Chernobyl, anything that says nuclear is just Chernobyl, like, and it's portable. Like they got a cell phone Chernobyl, you know. It's I don't know. It's just It's just like perfect media gaslighting. They have this crazy headline that literally has nothing to do. Portable missing device. Okay, so it was missing, but you make it sound like it's a weapon or something.
Right.
And then they even like describe it as it still could be dangerous. Everything's dangerous, people. That's why you have to wear a mask to just walk around. They don't even want you breathing oxygen. It's so crazy. Or the Earth's dying, but you're restricting my CO2 to help the trees grow. That makes sense.
Did you see a tale of two different states here? Did you see that Florida has rejected a bunch of like math books because they didn't meet their curriculum? Well, no, because believe it or not, that's not illegal. The Florida Department of Education announced on Friday that after a recent review, 41% of proposed K-12 mathematics books intended for use during the 2022-2023 public school year did not meet state academic standards due to their apparent inclusion of critical race theory principles and other controversial approaches to education. Reasons for rejecting textbooks included references to critical race theory, inclusions of Common Core, and the unsolicited addition of social emotional learning in mathematics. Florida's Department of Education said in a statement, the highest number of books rejected were for grades K through 5, where an alarming 71% were not appropriately aligned with Florida standards or included prohibited topics and unsolicited strategies. Florida's DOE added. Is it any surprise that K through 5 would be where the most of this was happening? Is anyone seeing some kind of connection here? Is that not where people are most vulnerable?
Oh, you mean the
spongy?
The most influenceable?
I don't think anyone should be surprised. This is why.
It's not that
yeah.
Look, 77% is a lot.
Oh yeah. Yeah, 71% was K through 5. It's a lot.
71. That's a lot. That's a lot of and you damn well know that Florida already had this all in the works, and then they get them sent to them anyways, knowing that this would be a political topic to use in this midterm election coming up.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there's no doubt. And I believe it was 2020. I believe it was 2020 when Ron DeSantis came in originally. His big thing was turning this all around. It was getting things like Common Core and critical race theory, which has been around for a while, getting them out of children's hands so they could just learn math like how we used to learn.
Not the black boy has $2 and the white girl has $2.
I don't believe it's that blatant.
No,
I don't think
more subtle with the programming. Huh,
yeah, I really don't think it's like
low key.
The poor black child only has $3 and the white privileged male has 15. I don't think that's how it's not quite that open.
They both have the same candy bar. They both buy them. How much do they have left? Not yet, right? Is that apparently because can't say gay and stuff either down there.
Well, and again, there's a reason why all this is happening.
K through 5th grade, dude. That's crazy.
Right. That's when.
Imagine if I was driving in this very same vehicle, driving outside of kindergartens all over America, and trying to push a certain ideology.
You would.
I can't even do it on YouTube to adults. I can't even speak my message to adults.
Well, as long as we're not violating any of their... Oh, right, that's the same thing, isn't it?
What?
I suppose that is the
community
same thing.
guidelines?
Yeah. Yeah, just for anyone who's mad, just read it that way. Just the math books violated Florida's community guidelines.
Yeah,
That's all it
what
was.
is.
I mean, it's private.
Corporate rights.
Yeah. Yeah, what are you going to do?
See, it's this shows where they're devoiding you of like how laws are supposed to be grounded in we the people, right? And then they've allowed the corporatization, and this is how they operate. We've always talked about it, publisher and platform.
Mhm. Big distinction.
And we actually get this. Yeah, this is why they've articulated things in certain ways, because they've separated. The real law is that we the people all agree on certain things. It's based in common law, which is what superseded all these legal laws that we have here in the United States and in England and everywhere else of Western democracies. Like, it's super important. So, yeah, this is obviously they know what they're doing, but yeah, that's funny, David. They have violated Florida's community guidelines, and that is why we must not have grooming in our K through 12 books.
Which is exactly...
It's crazy. It's crazy to think anybody think it would be okay to teach the horrors of anything that, like, honestly, America's history should be talked about. I don't think anybody's ever debated that, but just not to fucking kids.
Right.
What does birth control, homosexuals, transgenders, and black people have to do with children learning the first 5 years of their life in school about mathematics and how to read and write and have comprehension and critical thinking and start getting into science and exploring the world and picking up rocks? But we always talk about that there's this privilege and that there's segregation in America, but we're going to do everything in our power to teach kids labels as soon as possible.
Yeah, it's just weird to me that it even needed to exist, right? The quote, "Don't say gay" bill, which is not what it is and not what it says. It's weird that it needs to exist, though, right? Like the fact that it was happening enough that they said, okay, we can't have this.
It's weird
disturbing.
that it's weird it needs to exist in a world that pedophile islands exist. You're right, Dave. It's weird.
Yeah, well, you didn't think they'd be so blatant about it.
There's only one of them, so what do we care? I'm sure it's shut down.
I think it was for sale, wasn't it? For sale? Didn't I share that somewhere? It was not as much as you'd think. I think, if I remember correctly.
I wonder why. It's got to be like a haunted house.
I just think it's been empty.
A haunted house.
It needs a little updating, I think.
There's no way. So people have keys to that place that we don't know about.
Bill Clinton.
The electric bill is always paid for some reason.
Did you see in our group chat the MSNBC video?
Which one in particular?
Okay. I'm going to play it because we're going to play it regardless. I have to make sure. I'm pretty sure everyone can hear this. I think I changed this before. Can you see this?
Commentary.
I'm going to get you off here real quick. Can you see this, all right?
Who were Trump voters.
I can hear it.
And are still Trump supporters. They go, yeah, you guys are going crazy. He's doing, what are you so surprised about? He's doing exactly what he said he's going to do.
Well, and
they're talking about Elon Musk.
The dangerous, edges here are that he's trying to undermine the media, trying to make up his own facts.
Undermine the media.
And it could be that while unemployment and the economy worsens, he could have undermined the messaging so much that he can actually control exactly what people think, and that is our job.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on, real quick. What was that?
That is our job.
Wait, hold on, one more time.
That is our job.
Yeah. If you look at the.
You heard that, right?
Yeah. Dude, that might be a new soundbite for our intro.
This is another case of saying the quiet part out loud. She was probably someone in your ear was probably like, "Oh my god, you know what she did."
Dude, she also by default said that Twitter can fucking brainwash people. Even before she says that's our job, she says he could undermine the message being pushed by the White House, basically.
Yeah, because
once again,
narratives, which is our job.
Yeah, the White House has combated misinformation at a level so high that a woman on a stage somewhere on MSNBC, which is also probably battling misinformation with their funding, is telling you how they can use these platforms to brainwash people to get them to think a certain way. But I'm hearing that elections are safe and secure, but the media can influence people to go against the very narrative of the very political party in power.
These people are terrified of losing the power.
This is no accident.
This is no accident. You're right, Ryan. That's a perfect addition, I believe, to our. This is extremely dangerous to our democracy. That's. I mean, we've, to be clear, anyone who's watched this knows this. We've known this the entire time. We talk about media controlling narratives constantly, every episode at least, multiple times per episode, probably. To hear them come right out, and say it is, it's kind of like a,
it's a fuck you. What else you call it? They said "lick my nuts" in all capital letters on national television about Elon Musk, a guy buying. The dude. They just admitted that this guy is purchasing the ability to control free speech for $43 billion. That sounds cheap. That sounds cheap for freedom, don't it, David? 43 billion. Some people said that's too much for freedom.
And again, to your point, if Elon buying Twitter means narratives are going to change, doesn't that mean that the narratives are changed by Twitter? Isn't that exactly what we're saying already?
And to go even further, he was on a TED Talk. I didn't get a chance to see it. I seen the small clip of it, but it made me very curious. And maybe I can cut out the time. Anyways, he talks about how he would improve Twitter, and he would basically have them put in an asterisk that said that this post was altered if it was something that was controversial or if they pushed it down on the algorithm for whatever reason. And he said it's so that it doesn't seem like there's a shadow hand moving information. Because honestly, the info war is so broad now that aliens are a prime example. I always talk about them, how they can just create these things about aliens and you'll believe them. That's a prime example. But it's already there. All you need to see is a little bit of information. You don't fucking believe anything, right? So, and one of the things that buy into that is that we say it too, but the algorithm pushes those things down. So then it creates this incentive to be like, oh my God, this is banned information. Like the Trump interview, the Full Send podcast, I'm sure you can see on YouTube still.
Nope, that's gone.
So that's kind of exactly what he's describing, is that we know that there's an agenda. I mean, and we could go extreme examples. I always make the joke about how they have pedophile islands, but Trump's not on Twitter anymore. So it's they can't scrub certain things from the internet, but they can scrub everything else, right? So it's just the idea that their shadow hands creates this very spread of misinformation. Now, don't get me wrong. I believe they're 1984ing everybody, and then Winston's correct, and they're Winstoning Winston. I believe all that. But I don't necessarily believe everything they're saying is a lie. Because obviously this clip proves that they do like to say that they can't help themselves. They really can't. They like to tell you what the hell they're doing. Because honestly, not enough people watch all the stuff together to put it all together. So they could say one thing one week, like a New World Order, and then the following 3 weeks later, they could talk about how this is our job to control narratives. Mm-hmm. So this is why they can say it out loud, because they've obviously controlled misinformation with the very algorithm that they say doesn't exist, but obviously does exist, because they push these things to the top and other ones to the bottom. I know it's a long-winded way of saying a lot of different stuff, but literally, quiet part out loud is fair enough. But
yeah. SNL was talking about Elon Musk, and they had a skit about it, and of course it wasn't very funny, but they basically said, the one guy said that Elon Musk buying Twitter to make it open for free speech is a really roundabout way of white people trying to use the N-word openly, which is the most insane thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, is that where all the jokes came from, that he's actually African American?
Well, I mean, he is literally African American. But really,
see, this is the problem, right? Because more people are going to see an SNL clip about a political opinion, and then they're going to make political decisions based on something that is a creative art form that talks about a very serious political thing. 43 billion is cheap for free speech. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. Free speech is priceless, literally priceless. So just being able to equate it to a dollar value is fucking crazy. Yeah. Just the idea that we can have Twitter valued and assessed when we can see how powerful it is. And we're like, oh yeah, 43 billion. That's a lot of money. It's it's free speech, man.
It's the first one, right? It's
Yeah, and literally, let's go back to our founding documents because it's a perfect thing. Like, they pledged their lives, their fortunes in sacred honor. What's more my life is worth more than $43 billion. You know, like, just the idea that this guy is literally putting up. Now, I've said it here on the program too. I said it all over the internet this week to a couple people I know. I don't trust Musk all the way either. You know, don't get me wrong. I'm also I don't think a guy is building brain chips to just make me a millionaire. I don't think that's not happening. Okay, and if it is, I'm gonna be the last guy getting a head implant. I'm sorry. I can't trust it. I've seen too many movies. Call me conspiracy theorist. Fine. I'll die broke, homeless, and not fixed with robot parts. Fine.
I already have been on board with the idea of getting one.
Yeah, we'll see how this works.
It's a mess up here. It needs to be fixed.
Dave's gonna shoot the podcast alone because he's gonna be able to know everything I'm gonna say before I say it. So yeah, like, I'm not necessarily believing this guy that could build brain chips for all of humanity is going to do it out of the goodness of his heart. When, I mean, we can see how this lines up like V for Vendetta. So I'm kind of, but I believe Musk is more on the good side than he is on the evil, at least right now. So I know he's not part of their big club, so I'll take that as a W. But we do need to monitor these things. I don't think. Just the idea that they're not allowing him to have the conversation of buying Twitter is showing that he's not part of their club. They hate him and that he's not controllable. Mm-hmm. And
it's got a bit of a, you got to admit, at the very least, it's got a bit of a Trump vibe. I'm not saying him personally, but just the idea of how much they dislike him.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. And I wonder if they're getting ready when Elon tries to run for president of the world.
Oh, I don't. To be clear, also, when we talk about free speech on platforms, which is what Twitter is supposed to be, it's what they're legally designated as. We're not talking about YouTube. Nope, that's a platform too. We're not talking about saying the N-word on the platform. We're talking about things like the president of the United States being banned for insurrection talk, even though the FBI comes out and says, well, it wasn't an organized, cooperated movement. We're talking about things like people being banned over talking about COVID and going against the government narrative on COVID. We're talking about Hunter Biden laptop stories getting pushed to the side, and 1 in 5 Biden voters saying they wouldn't vote for Biden if they knew about the story. And now, many years later, coming out and saying, "Oh, the story is real, and we could verify it." You could have verified it the whole time. You just didn't want to.
It was 500 gigabytes of information. So
right. And we're talking about those things. That's what we're referring to. That's the free speech we're talking about. Even if it, and I'm listen, if somebody puts some incorrect information on the internet, whose responsibility is it to make sure it's real, right? I mean, at some point, it shouldn't be Twitter saying, "Oh, this is fake information." Why don't you take some responsibility upon yourself and go look it up and say, I don't know about this. And that's the problem.
Well, do we have? Is there freedom of speech or not?
On the internet, there is not.
Yeah. So we move on from there. We fix it. Because back to your point, Dave, it doesn't matter what I say is correct or not or hurts people's feelings. Now, obviously, there's the technicalities of not saying fire in a cramped, crowded theater and stuff like that. But like, you either have freedom or you don't. And this kind of goes back to being able to just put a price on Twitter to begin with. But you either can say everything or you can't say anything. There's no in between.
Yeah.
Like freedom is that broad.
Currently, only one half of the country has freedom on the internet. I think everyone knows what half I'm referring to. And Mark Zuckerberg wants you all to live on the internet. So just take that as you will.
That's a good point, David. He's literally inventing a whole universe for you to go into that he can easily control with corporate immunity.
Corporate immunity tied to government immunity.
Do you remember when fake news was a thing, and now it's just called misinformation
or disinformation? Which I believe the difference is disinformation is intentional misinformation.
So it's like 95% of the news media, 99% of the news media.
Well, yeah. Did you see, speaking of the news media, did you see Stelter get asked that question on the. I don't know if I can find this. It was like an open like forum thing, and a kid asked him a question. He like dodges the question. Let's see if I can find this. And then he's like, "Oh, let's go get some dinner."
Dude, those are getting hard to find.
Oh, ooh.
I seen an article this week. They were talking about Trump's comments on something, and all the article was talking about Trump's comments with an opinion breakdown. It didn't even like show the quote of what they were talking about. The whole article didn't show a single quote from the former president. Like they're like, Trump's comments are dangerous, and here's why. It's like there's no like I don't even know what the fuck he said because they didn't even show it.
All right, this is and I love the picture though. This should be the best snapshot. Disinformation and the erosion of democracy, and Brian Stelter is right underneath it, and I think that's perfect. It's a quick little 2-minute clip here, but this is incredible.
Hi, thank you for coming. My name is Christopher Phillips. I'm a first year at the college. My question is for Mr. Stelter. You've all spoken extensively about Fox News being a purveyor of disinformation, but CNN is right up there with them. They pushed the Russian collusion hoax. They pushed the Jussie Smollett hoax. They smeared Justice Kavanaugh as a rapist, and they also smeared Nick Sandmann as a white supremacist. And yes, they dismissed the Hunter Biden laptop affair as pure Russian disinformation. With mainstream corporate journalists,
all those things had such crazy implications.
It really did too.
Is it time to finally declare that the canon of journalistic ethics is dead or no longer operative? All the mistakes of the mainstream media and CNN in particular seem to magically all go in one direction. Are we expected to believe that this is all just some sort of random coincidence, or is there something else behind it?
Too bad it's time for lunch.
I mean,
30 seconds.
No, I mean there's a clock that says 30 seconds, but I think my honest answer to you, and I'll come over and talk in more detail after this, is that I think you're describing a different channel than the one that I watch. But I understand that is a popular right-wing narrative about CNN. I think it's important when we talk about shared reality and democracy. All these outlets have to defend democracy, and when they screw up, admit it. But when Benjamin Hall, the Fox correspondent, was wounded in Ukraine, the news crews at CNN and the New York Times stopped what they were doing, and they tried to help. They tried to help him get out of the country. They tried to find the dead crew members.
What the fuck does that have to do with being a lying cocksucker?
Do work together. To your question,
you can lie about Hunter
those kinds of
Biden
connections and trust.
Laptop, but let's talk about when they were empathetic and helping somebody almost not die.
That happens.
About a war that's fake.
I think you mean President Biden. The last time I spoke with a Biden aide, we yelled at each other. So that's the reality.
Very reassuring.
People don't see, people don't hear. They imagine that it's a situation that it simply is not. But I think your question, it speaks to the failure of journalism to show our work and show the reality of how our profession operates. We have a lot of work to do, I think.
Reality of how it operates.
Yeah, the shared reality, you know. Yeah, time for lunch.
Reality of democracy. I'll come over and talk later. Never seen that dude again.
No chance. No chance he went back and talked.
Dude, that dude breezed over like literally 5 and 6 like problems. Just we're not talking about lying about inflation or prices or oil or all this other crazy shit that we've seen they just referenced stuff with Trump.
He didn't address any of it at all. He didn't even address the question.
Fake Russian collusion was in 2016. They haven't even said sorry for lying 6 years ago. Oops. Jussie Smollett even said, I'm innocent still. Even the actors are dying on the sword.
Well, that's just his shared reality.
Shared reality and democracies. We're a constitutional republic.
You know what I also like about this?
Dude, they lied to you for 6 years and not even say sorry. And then the guys asked about it. And they they trash talk the other news outlet and then says it's still a narrative. But you pushed the narrative on something that was known to be lying.
Yeah, but Ryan, you're missing the point. They helped a Fox News analyst when he got hurt in Ukraine. I think you're missing the point, Ryan. You know what this really shows, though, too, which I love.
Good job. I'm glad you got morals only when you need them. That just makes it worse that you're willingly being a piece of shit when it comes to your job, but you know exactly. This just proves you know exactly what you're doing. Oh, we helped him up when he was dying. Wow, you guys actually do have empathy. You do know what you're doing. I thought you were just idiots. Here, I thought the whole time it was incompetence, and they just happen to be doing this stuff by accident.
I just like how unequipped he is to answer the question at a disinformation
these
contest.
Guys are the most loving people.
There's no way he shouldn't have known that question was going to come. He's at a disinformation conference, which I can't even believe that exists. Obviously, he's at CNN. He's one of the big head guys now. You know that Chris Cuomo's gone for some unspoken reason. He's one of the big top dogs, and that's how he answered that question. That's embarrassing. That's terrible.
I told you guys that Cuomo's were creeps. I told you guys before that came out. Those guys were creeps together.
You could smell it.
Disinformation thing.
In the air in New York, you could smell.
Yeah, and there's no way that they didn't know that question was coming, and they saved it for the end for a very reason. Time for lunch. Oh, a joke, right? Ha ha. Time for lunch. They're just waiting for like that cane in the cartoon that pulls the guy off stage.
So you need a couple. You need a handful of canes to pull him off the stage.
Jesus, criminy, dude.
It's the last thing he needs.
It should be criminal to just be able to brush over things that like literally affect all of us, and you just say they're right-wing propaganda. It's just them pushing narratives. Well, wasn't it a narrative you pushed that the Hillary Clinton campaign had a dossier that said?
Well, that's because you're a right-wing propagandist, and that's your shared reality. His reality is different.
I'm just asking a question.
That's the whole "your truth, my truth" thing. There is not your truth, my truth.
David, I wasn't even giving you my truth. I was asking a question.
It's truth.
I was just asking my question, though. How is it my truth if I had?
When I was in Ukraine, I helped that guy who was hurt.
We stopped. I hope you would. Just shout. How long did I hear that women and children are dying and there's planes flying into buildings that miraculously stand? Because Ukraine's built better buildings than Americans, but
not very well, apparently. I don't have anything else, but those couple things I wanted to get to.
All right, well, that's great. All right, dude.
Anyways, it's time for lunch, so I think we gotta.
It's time for lunch. All right, I got a couple things here. So apparently 100% clean energy is coming to California.
Oh, if only they had an automaker who made electric cars in California. That'd be really helpful.
I'm going to tell you people this. I've been working at a crypto farm for my job.
That's super cool. That place is awesome.
Very cool. And like to figure out how much that company's electric bill is like $1 million every 3 months.
It's got to be.
If that's not telling you how much power.
I know what
I'm basically inside a giant computer.
I know what one of those servers takes. I can't imagine the like hundreds of them they have.
And mine's like 1/10 of a crypto per hour per computer, and they have like 1,000 machines or something. So it's just using an insane amount of power. And this is obviously for something computers, it's always got to be on and stuff. But 100% power, renewable energy, and saying it's on windmills. I don't know how they're going to do it, but they're not going to be able to do it.
Well, the answer is, Ryan, and we know the answer. There's going to be points in the day in California when it's really hot and you want your air conditioning, but it's not going to run.
Is that I wonder how they're going to be able to control that with all those smart meters, probably. That
would help.
That would probably, that were installed by the law of the government, and then it made rent higher because, the landlord had to put a $10,000 power meter on the side of your house with a Wi-Fi fucking signal so they can monitor every kilowatt of electricity. Remember when we talked about price gouging?
Remember when we talked about shortages? That's a shortage. It's a power shortage.
There was actually one time during the blackouts there was the blackouts in California during the fucking fires.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Due to high demand, you will have no air conditioning today.
Yeah, it's gonna be like when I can't even find candy bars at the store. Dude,
what would you do if you live in California? What do you do? What are you gonna run a generator on your house? What does that run on?
Electricity.
Gasoline.
Battery powered fucking generator.
You can have battery backups.
It all sounds great. It just shows that these people don't know what the hell they're talking about. Now, maybe somebody somewhere has some secret technology in Dexter's laboratory. He's going to pull it out from the bottom basement, plug it in, and everything's going to be cool fucking by. But I doubt it very highly. Because they're corrupt politicians.
Well, this is what happens when politicians try to make policies on things they don't understand. Much like something else, which I think you wanted to bring up. Ethanol.
Yeah, I'll segue into that. But I'm going to say one last quick thing about this 100% clean energy. They will have 100% clean energy. It's just going to be a way less energy than they actually need. So that's really what the like. Hey, look at all this clean energy. It's like one battery when they need 1 million batteries. But it's clean. It's like, but we're starving.
I mean, it'll work in California. All those tents in San Francisco and LA, they don't run on electricity, so it'll kind of work out.
Yeah. It's good they have the largest homeless communities ever. Yeah, this is like the like when I say that a loaf of bread, it's a clean energy thing. There's only going to be so much. They're going to say it's clean. Energy's going to be crazy. You know, if there's inflated prices because of inflation and shortages of goods, imagine when there's only so much electricity. How much a watt of electricity is going to cost when there's only X amount?
Yes, that's economics. When there's a shortage of something, the price goes up because of supply and demand. That's just how it works. It's literally that simple.
Yeah, and Joe Biden thinks we'll get back to this ethanol thing we were going to talk about. Dave and I, in particular, out of anybody you know on the internet, probably like 95% of the people that have political opinions don't know shit about automobiles.
I don't think Tim Pool and his beanie knows anything about cars.
Yeah, they don't know shit about automobiles. I
don't know. Randomly trash talking Tim Pool.
He's Mr. Middle. Someone's got to get shit on.
We really don't hate Tim Pool. He's not bad at all. I mean, it's just.
I just want him to make a decision on something.
And I want him to not wear a beanie in his house.
Just pick. Dude, he went to Ben Shapiro. I know Ben Shapiro always has that hat on, but he went to Ben Shapiro's studio and had his freaking beanie on. Like, bro, does he?
If I was him, I would have rolled it up and then put it towards the back a little bit to make it look like Shapiro's.
A beanie? Oh man, shut us down for anti-Semitism. Yeah, ethanol. Anybody on YouTube that has a political opinion, me and Dave could probably talk more about automobiles than them. So we're just gonna breeze over this quick. Joe Biden apparently is putting ethanol in the gas so that gas, because it's gonna be.
To be clear, he wants to put more ethanol in the gas.
They're putting, yeah, right. Ethanol's already in there. It's literally the leading cause of engine wear and breakdown is ethanol. After a certain point, it's very corrosive to your engine if you have too much. That's where running rich, the old term when you would have a carbureted car. Not that anybody knows what the fuck that means anymore. But running rich was like something you had to worry about because it would put fuel on the inside of your injectors and your cylinder walls, and then it's premature engine wear, and then you're repairing shit that you don't need to wear. See, this is why nobody talks about it, because they don't even know what the fuck they're talking about. So here's the moral of the story. They're trying to shit out an extra foot on a blanket and sew it on the other side and say we're making more gas. They're not making more gas. You're not going to have better gas mileage. We're getting less with less.
I want everyone to do an experiment. Take your car to a gas station that sells E85 or the 85 Flex, I think that's what it is, Flex Fuel. Put that in your engine and let me know how it runs for you. For the record, don't do that. If your car is not designed to run on it, it will not like it.
It will ruin everything. But this is like kind of the thing, though. It's like, you know, we operate in a world of things that are so specialized now, and everything's been figured out so well that we can improve on everything incrementally and so small because we live in the greatest world ever. And it's like as the more complex it gets, the less the average person knows, and then they can just smug you with these political Stockholm syndrome lines and say, yeah, we're putting ethanol in there so we get more gas. It's not more gas. It's not more gas. It's less gas. My car breaks down faster, so I have to get more oil changes. I have to get more parts that are hard to find right now because COVID, right? due to high demand. No, it's low supply, asshole. Got no way to get me the supply. It's not high demand. The demand's always been there. I never had a problem getting bubblegum before, but magically now. Never had a problem getting coffee in a glass container before, but apparently now there's high demand of a coffee sometimes.
Yeah, no, there must be. Yeah, here it is, right here. That's the stuff.
Is this the ethanol line?
Yeah. So, and another thing that ethanol does too that people don't know, but ethanol and fuel don't actually mix. And what happens is there's a chemical reaction and it creates water, basically, in your fuel system, which is why it becomes corrosive. The last thing you want is water fueling your car.
You gotta add fuel stabilizer.
That's right. And there's people already, even with like a capped 10% ethanol in your fuel, there's places already that sell ethanol removing like substance you put in your fuel system, and it reverses that chemical reaction and mixes it and makes it all fuel again, because water and gas don't mix. So when you have water in your fuel tank, if your fuel tank's like this, you have water sitting on top, and that's just all getting ingested into your vehicle. It's not good. Ingested.
Yeah, because people just think you're just spraying a liquid, but water doesn't explode like gasoline does.
Correct. That's why it's called
which is why we don't
engine.
It's why we don't have hydro vehicles like we do gasoline vehicles.
They had steam-powered vehicles. They didn't make a lot of horsepower.
Because we had to find a better chemical, and that's where they used to. I remember when I went to college, we were talking in automotive. They taught us that, they didn't know what to do with gasoline for a long time, so they would literally have pits of gasoline. They would just throw matches on them and burn it up because they didn't know what to do with it. And then somebody made
because it's a byproduct, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they're like, yeah, it's garbage.
It's kind of like the wing. Like people used to throw it out in Buffalo. Said, let's dump a bunch of hot sauce on it and deep fry it.
Yeah. Go get all that leftover scrap meat that nobody wants.
Anyways, don't put ethanol in fuel. It's not good. Get it out.
Speaking of putting ethanol in fuel, Walmart is putting ethanol in the job market by offering $100,000 a year for first starting people, apparently for a CDL. We sent this in the December chat. We talked about it. Basically, look, I don't trust any corporation or anybody really with pay, but just the idea that they're advertising it like that, I think shows you how dire things are. So, but in reality, that's not, 6 figures is what everybody's trying to make. It's basically how you can become like your local millionaire. So that 6-figure mark in a lot of America. Maybe not like New York or California or Texas or some of these crazy big spots, but average American, you'll live pretty well.
Between the coasts, basically.
Speaking of coast, the Buffalo ship. Have you seen this thing?
No.
There's a ship in the Buffalo Harbor sinking. Apparently, the USS the Sullivans, Buffalo Naval Park. I've been down by Canal Side. Dave, you've been there. It's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful little thing. They got like a little veterans memorial thing, all the wars and all the local heroes and all that. And yeah, dude, basically, talk about saying this, the quiet part out loud. It sunk because there's a hole in there and then weather started affecting it. So basically, all of my tax money that was supposed to fix the boat didn't. And now it's broken. And now I'm supposed to feel sorry for it.
It did, but it is going to build a beautiful new stadium for the Bills.
That's literally, I put that on Spectrum News. I was like, at least we got a new stadium. Literally, the guys fought for your fucking freedom to play fucking football in the stadium. And the ship that they sailed on to go murder people has a hole in it. You can't fix it. And then it sinks. And you just take a local piece of history from me. And I'm supposed to just be happy about it. Because, well, it's just not salvageable. They're going to make a piece of artwork out of it, out of the limited scrap required. I wonder if they're scrapping the whole building in one day like they did Sandy Hook, because there's some other undercover political narrative here. Mark Poloncar's trying to free up some cash somewhere so that we don't have to raise taxes on the Buffalonians like he said we weren't going to have. I don't believe any of these pricks down in the city of Buffalo. Mayor Byron Brown's out there looking lost, talking about a ship. You don't even know what a ship is. Dude's probably never left the ground.
Is that a black joke, Ryan?
Yes.
We can't
swim.
No, we can't say that kind of thing. This is why
David
Elon Musk
Goggins
can't buy
said
the
it.
internet.
David Goggins said it, not me. We sink because we're black. Bones too heavy.
Someone's gonna rush. If you said that on stage, you'd be assaulted.
Speaking of getting rushed on stage, I sent you that video.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
I talked about T.I. last week, and the week before that was obviously the slap heard around the world. And I said this is going to happen. All the comedians that I've seen said this was going to happen. And then literally, I sent Dave a clip of some like amateur rookie night comic trying to make his way in the world, probably work out new material, all these things. Like,
it was pretty funny, too.
I probably did 50. It was super funny. That's what made it even better. But he got stormed on stage. Guys started swinging at him. Like, amateur comics can't get started. Joe Rogan can hire security. These people can't. This is the equivalent of like, well, if you got nothing to hide, like this is where we're getting at. Artwork is now dangerous.
Called the one guy Suge Knight. I started laughing right there.
How about you want to get fucked up, man? He's like, hey, man.
That's why I'm more hoodie than you. You were the one who snitched. That's why I went to jail.
Speaking of snitched, the Mars rover, I got 2 NASA articles. One I just thought was funny that it said the Mars rover finds space debris from humans on Mars. Like, I
mean,
oh man, I'd pull it up on my phone, but like the way they worded it made it sound like it was like a civilization on Mars or something for a second, and then you scroll down, and it was from like former space flights and everything.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like, what else would they expect?
For real, are you ready for this?
Nope.
I don't know if I'm still on screen or not.
No, you're not.
All right,
you're
good.
a circle.
I'm gonna read some shit because this was so cool. This is from the Telegraph. NASA's giant hypersonic slingshot set to revolutionize space travel.
Hypersonic slingshot? Why is it a slingshot? Is it literally a slingshot? Like a big rubber band just blasts you into space?
Pull up a picture of it. The massive device, taller than the Statue of Liberty, is already in place and will be tried out by the space agency later this year. It consists of 300 feet wide steel vacuum chamber turned on its side with an exit pipe pointed at the sky. Observers have described that as looking from the outside like a giant yo-yo. Inside, the object is attached to a carbon fiber tether and flung around in circles. Because it is being spun in a vacuum, the object on the end of the tether can be accelerated thousands of miles per hour before being released through a pipe. 1,000-ton steel electric powered, oh, that's weird, centrifuge was built and is operated by a private company. That's weird. Spin launch, weird. Which has signed a test deal with NASA under the Space Act. Fucking Trump. A 10-foot long NASA test vehicle shaped like a torpedo will be catapulted skyward before deploying a parachute landing and then being recovered and analyzed. Fundamentally, this is a new way to access space. We greatly appreciate NASA's continued interest and support.
What? This thing's crazy. There's that 10-foot long torpedo.
Yeah. So, like, as you read some of this some of the article, it got to something called in 1966. It's Project HARP successful used a massive cannon to launch a 400-pound projectile into space. So I naturally looked up what the fuck Project HARP meant. And of course, it was some badass military operation that we were just trying to figure out how to launch missiles into space.
Sure, just like nuclear planes.
Yeah. So, needless to say, do you remember when we keep hearing all these things about little glowing things that seem to not be flying with any internal, propulsion device and all this thing? Like UFOs, they're like, oh my God, there's no engines. And then I'm seeing that they're making space slingshots.
Yeah, but the thing I'm hearing about these are that they're dropping really faster than going back up. Nuclear powered.
Guy just got radiation burns.
That's
I
weird.
wonder if they ever made nuclear airplanes before. Newsflash. I just got 2 other things. I read an article. I didn't read the whole thing, just the headline like I always do because he's lying fucks. Article, quote, this was a Telegraph article as well, I think. Quote, Putin could be gone tomorrow.
Is he gone yet?
last week.
Do you want me to Google if he's gone?
What are you waiting for? If this wasn't the biggest headline for Gaslight for World War III, I have never fucking seen one. Of course, there's some broad in the middle of two dudes. Go figure, a love triangle.
I Googled, is Putin gone? And the first thing that comes up is Telegraph. Putin could be gone tomorrow.
Yeah, look at these. Look at these people. And there's a chick in the middle, of course. Love triangle's got to fuck the world up. Yeah, we don't got to dive into this Ukraine shit forever, but this is how that's our job. To control narratives, paint World War III. That's our job. Maybe I already was using their words. That might be my new one. That's our job.
This is no accident. We're getting quite the vocabulary here.
Yeah, they're just we have like the New World Order dictionary now.
These people know exactly what they're doing.
These people know exactly what they're doing. Yeah, it's just funny to see them gaslight for World War III, and they're thinking I'm not sitting at home watching eerily with popcorn, laughing my ass off because I told people this was coming. I got one quick story, last thing, and then December Tainment this week. So, I read an article. We talk about DNA tests and how they've mapped the human condition and all these things. I've various parts of this program. From various parts of this program, reference like the Golden State Killer, how they're using DNA to make coronavirus in labs and snake venom. And
what was that last one?
Snake venom is how they're delivering the coronavirus antibodies into everybody's system to kill them. New conspiracy I heard this week.
Well, that sounds a lot like mosquitoes being, injecting vaccines.
That'd be weird. I wonder who funded that one.
Bill Gates.
So yeah, Dr. Bill Gates, right? So there's this article talks about family DNA testing story and how one woman found out she was lied to from her parents that her father wasn't her father. Now, not only do I think it's funny that women have to lie about whose kids they have in their belly and then they later get caught because of, their lying horse, but I do find it funny. Okay. What I don't find funny is you insult masculinity at the end of it. Okay.
Oh, that's
Here's
weird.
what it says. She thought she knew her family until she took a DNA test. Amber Van, whoever, who cares, took a 23andMe test in her 20s, found out that her father wasn't her father. Her mother thought she was going to be able to die with the story, right? So at the end, there's this dude, TJ Raphael, whatever. I don't know if he's like the guy at 23andMe or if he's like whoever they consulted for this Time article, I think. Follow it in the conversation. Apple News in conversation. And he says here at the end, in the 80s, 90s, 2000s, there's no conceivable way that DNA would be able to reveal this. The idea that you can send away for something, spin into a tube, mail it back, come back in a computer, be able to trace your genetic matches, that was something out of science fiction. But I think our ideas of masculinity, our ideas of what it means to be a man, our ideas of sexuality as it relates to whether or not you can impregnate your wife have really driven the medical advice. So for a long time, it was thought that if you told a donor-conceived person we had to use a sperm, that would be detrimental to the family, that the man would love the child less. And of course, we're talking in context of heterosexual couples here. So that is one reason why people are encouraged to keep it quiet or keep it hidden.
What the hell is he talking about?
Masculinity. The reason...
That's a really weird way to spin she hoed around and got pregnant.
Now, I don't know if her mom actually hoed around or the dude couldn't get her pregnant. But this happens to girls that hoe around. They raise another dude's kid, say it's this dude's kid, and he actually believes it, and then he finds out, and that's when dudes kill themselves or kill the girl, and tragic things happen. Like, this is like, you can't fuck with guys with kids. Now, I'm going to go on record here and say that thing they're talking about, how the guy's going to love the kid less, is 100% true. I don't care. You can say you love your adopted kid. You do. But one that you don't adopt, you're going to love way more.
Yeah, and it's
like a stepbrother thing. It's like how much you love your stepbrother compared to how much you love your biological brother. They're not the same thing. We need to stop acting like it's evil to want your own kids. And we also got to stop acting like it's evil for us to want to impregnate women. That's literally our body. We're wired to reproduce. Men's job is to make sure that we don't not have enough people for the next generation. Literally our job is to make sure that there's enough people forever. That's like why, boys, life starts with the guy. And then we got to hear about, not to get back into politics here, but we're hearing about the mass death coming in the Western hemispheres of the world because they have low birth rates to replace the people that are going to be out of retirement and all these other social fucking programs that they've engineered us to do. Because they tell you that kids are a cancer and that people are a cancer on the earth, so we devalue living life, let alone ones that aren't quite, quote, a clump of cells. But if I kill her early, it's double fucking homicide. This is the problem. And we just, I know I'm getting a little upset about this and stuff, but we should. You're literally telling me that basically I'm insecure with my masculinity that's what they're saying. That's basically what they're saying. That's toxic masculinity for you to want your own kids. That's toxic masculinity to want to reproduce and not have organ donors. Now, granted, there's plenty of people that can't have kids and all these other things. That makes men making their own kids so much more fucking important. Because there's so many people that have problems. That's why we need healthy masculine men to raise healthy masculine other masculine men, and then the girls can get a healthy dose of masculinity so that those young women now date masculine men when they're older, and we have strong men to have strong times. This has literally been known forever. You need strong men for a strong society, and that's how you got all this freedom. You didn't get all this freedom by George Washington saying he's a fucking girl. He didn't sail over in the middle of the night with a corset on and say, I'm a female and I identify. Guys, sailed over there on Christmas and murdered people. That is masculine shit. I don't know why we're acting like this is a bad thing. Masculinity builds the world. Guys, just imagine, every day guys their testosterone, full raging hornballs are out building the world. Hanging ladders, building troughs. They're doing mortar, mason work and hanging gutters and painting fucking buildings, thinking about banging their wife after work. That's all these dudes care about. That's it. These toxic masculine guys building the Dollar General I'm going to buy my groceries at to bitch on my iPhone. Sorry that I grabbed your ass, ma'am. It's been a long day out here just sweating in the fucking sun with no fucking electricity because the electrician's a bitch and can't clean up after himself. People hate electricians. People hate them. I love it. All right, enough with the foolery here. All seriousness, though. That's their job to control it. I mean, come on, people. I told you, war for men. They're coming for us. Protect your nuts, fellas. December entertainment this week. I don't have one, really.
No.
I'm just kidding. I kind of have one, but I don't. I was real busy this week. Just getting on top of everything. But that doesn't avoid me from enjoying myself. So, I haven't video gamed in a while. So I saw Red Dead Redemption 2 was on sale in the Xbox store.
There you go.
It was $20. Now,
not bad.
For those who don't know, Grand Theft Auto creators, Rockstar Games, made it. So that's got Dave going all nice over there because he loves Grand Theft Auto.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's great.
So
listen, I can't run over hookers in real life. It's the only way.
You know what you can do in real life though? Go to a fuck island. So if you have enough money. So Rockstar Games made this game. For people who don't know, 2018, it won Game of the Year. Supposedly one of the greatest games ever made, still to this day. It's 2022 now. So for the last 4 years, it still reigned as one of the greatest games ever made. I figured I'd try it out for $20. I have not yet played it, but I did see the first opening sequences, stuff like that. It looks incredible. I know people that have played it. I'm very anxious. I don't really have the time to play. But even I figure for $20, if I play a couple hours here and there, it's kind of one of those games you can play for years and years and not really play anything. So I didn't really mind thinking about long-terming. Not that I game a lot anymore, but it's kind of one of those. I was looking for something new to do, especially with the Xbox. I know the weather's getting nice and stuff, but a lot of times late at night when the kid's at home, like if I don't do something creative and I just want to, have some entertainment, I'd rather play video games than watch like Netflix, especially alone. So
yeah,
I figure it might be like my summer night video game, but yeah, maybe I'll tune in. It's kind of, I don't really play Western or cowboy games. I used to play, there's a game called Gun a long time ago. I played that at the time. That was for like 360 and stuff.
Sounds familiar.
But it was kind of like Red Dead. But more of the story is I'm expecting high things with all of the stuff I've been reading about the game. Because I did some reading about the storyline. And that's obviously I always talk about in this program. I love a good story and narrative-driven stuff. So that's really what captivated me about the game. So I look forward to it. But if you look forward to seeing me on Mondays at 7, you should follow, like, comment, subscribe. December 17th, 73. Dave and I appreciate everybody for your time. Hope everybody had a good Easter. And yeah, Mondays at 7. Comment below. Rumble the video. Thumbs up, all that jazz. Yeah. Thanks, Dave.
It was going so well, and he just, yeah.
I'm like a middleman, I swear I finished better in other areas.
Okay. All right. I don't even want to follow that. We're done. We'll try again next week.
Good talk.
See ya.